Guys and gals, welcome back to Banished Souls. This is your Captain Cryptic. Today we're going to be looking at the snow again. So we was recently asked by one of our Discord members and a subscriber to do a snow build based off the furniture we have currently open, because it's been a while since we've done a tank build for this. So this should be interesting to see exactly what we can get out of this ship. So when it comes to weapons, that's going to be up to you. Obviously you won't the purple weapons or the blues or the greens over something that's not got a color behind it at all. As far as which weapon to use, that's the most commonly asked question we have is, hey man, what weapon should I use? Well, that's going to depend on your game style. If you like to sit further away from the battle and shoot long distance, and obviously things like the Twin Winch Ballista, the Skurlock 9s and stuff like that, they're going to be a nice option for you. But if you're shooting at them and you like to shoot, but you're not hitting weak points, you're not being effective in battle. So you need to get a little closer and use something that you can hit with. So what I recommend for most builds that you're going to see, and you're going to have to do a little grind or pay 1,500 gold in the black market for some of these items to be able to open up. You got your repair bombards. Those are going to require some different types of mechanisms and stuff that you'll have to find. You can grind those out of those battles that you can do inside your smuggler's hub, but I find it easier to just pick it up in the black market. That's up to you how you're sitting on pieces of 8. Now, the weapons I usually build for folks after watching and playing with them, that's typically I'll come in, I'll watch, see how you're playing, see what your play style is, what your weakness is, what your strength is, and typically I will end up recommending using some fire bombards or the Zama 3s. I like the Zamas myself. It's a little bit more in your face with those fleets, but it is a great all-around weapon to use. We're going to go ahead and load this up and build this out and give it some sea trials here. So it seems like people are really enjoying the videos where we show, here's what our build is, here's what it'll do. And of course you'll get those naysayers who will say, no, this build's ineffective. One of the things that has been the most commonly commented for those who haven't noticed is they're saying that the Ouroboros armor is broken because every time they brace it doesn't heal. It's not going to heal you every time you brace. It's when you are braced in combat, the damage that you're taking, it's going to replenish 15%. So if they're not putting a lot of damage out, you're not getting a lot of health back. If they're doing a lot of damage, say raining mortars on you, crashed into your side of your ship, and you remember to brace, you're going to get 15% of that damage back. It's actually a really good armor. I've got the Black Prince. We'll try it. We could try that on here. I know everyone's saying Black Prince rigging station makes the ultimate snow. It's not been my experience with it, but we'll try. We'll see what they're talking about here, just so we can show you. When it comes to ships, if you're in a team and they are using healers a lot, okay, it's fine to come up and say, I always put a fire bombard on the rear. That way if something's chasing me, the way that it hits, it'll rock the boat down face first into the water if you hit it just right on the bow, and slow him down. So if it's a flamethrower, he's not eating you up while you're trying to move across, because the snow is a little bit slower than some of the other ships, but it is a beast. So we're going to put this Leopold 3 on here. Now when we're looking at armor, so obviously we have Black Prince 420. Let's bring up the stats. So it's going to give you 35 explosive, 0 flooding, 18% fire protection, and 20% piercing. It's going to reduce damage taken by 50% when whole health is less than 35%, and that's the only buff that it has. Whereas when you're looking at the Ouroboros, even though currently it's loaded as a lower weapon level than your Black Prince, I imagine that's going to change as soon as they do their next patch, because this is supposed to be the strongest armor in the game. Anyway, you're going to get the 1100 armor points. You're going to get 20% explosive negation, 30% flooding negation, 30% fire negation. I've not ran into situations with the tearing and the piercing yet. That's something that may come with PvP. So when you're looking at the Aglemente effect, it restores 15% of whole health while bracing. So when they're sending the damage to you, what I've noticed, it's not restoring 15% of your health. It's repairing 15% of the damage that's taken out of the shield. When you see it starting to crack and deteriorate, it will restore 15% of that total damage back is health. So if you're taking a real big beating by a very powerful foe, it's going to restore quite a bit of health back to you. Plus, it restores 100 severe damage every second. Something else I have noticed in this game that is not really advertised on here is it actually self heals out of combat too. So that's one of the great perks about that. If you're just hitting a ship and running, that's pretty good. But for the purpose of this, I'm gonna go with the Ouroboros. We'll try another one with the Black Prince. I've used Black Prince on it. I wasn't like completely thoroughly impressed where everyone was talking about it. So then, of course, one of the things is the rigging station. We're going to bring it up. So that's another accusation. Well, you just don't own those pieces. No, I own them. I try them. It's just not for me. But that's not to say that your build doesn't work great for you. And that's what people need to understand. That's why I think it's important to take the time to explain your build's going to be specific to you. If you copy someone else's build, but their strengths are actually some of your weaknesses in gameplay, you're just going to have a ship that's getting blown up all the time. You're not going to be making those nice kill shots and stuff. So the rigging station is going to restore 1% of whole health per second when whole health is less than 20%. That's pretty nice, except for the fact that you can get 15% from a brace, and as long as you are using the water tank, which we're going to go to here, show you the difference here. So water tank, that is going to reduce the stamina depletion by 50% while bracing. That means you can watch, and we'll show you on here, it doesn't, it barely moves when you're bracing. You can almost brace between, after you take a shot, waiting on his shot, be braced, and as soon as you're ready and you're reloaded, you can take your other shot and brace again. And as long as you're not running at full trim, it's going to be pretty easy to stay up. But that's how you want to battle. That's what I've started to do with some of the tanks I'm building, and it increases your stamina recovery by 20%. So if you get in there and you run out of stamina and you're not thinking to drop out to the next screen there, the zoom camera, you got to let go of the trigger to be able to feed it. It's going to start feeding it, and it's going to increase that by 20%, and it fills up very fast. So this is actually one of my favorite furnitures to run on this, and it works great because of the stamina depletion when bracing. Okay, it's going to reduce that, which means you're getting a longer brace period using Ouroboros armor. So that's a great thing. You are defended when you are in brace. If you're not bracing, you are not defended from the incoming damage. That seems to be the misconception people have with even the Black Prince. You have to brace to get those stats. So there are a lot of different options in here. So it's going to depend on your gameplay. Obviously, you want the low potent schematic because you still have those plague fleets. Most of the stuff is stuff I use on just about every ship I have. So you can actually add a double planked hull to this if you want to increase that max hull by 5%. I say you're building a tank, go for it, man. If you're using Zamas or fire bombards, you're getting plenty of damage. You're putting plenty out there. But you can increase that if you need to or if you decide to. So we do not need to be running things like the maintenance forge anymore because this armor self heals it. So it's going to open up a slot for us to use pretty much anything we want to put in there. So we have the Demon Cannon Furnace. Being that is what I am shooting most of the time, I'm going to add that on there. It's going to extend the maximum range by 10%. So it doesn't sound like much, but that extra 10% comes in handy. Then of course cosmetics or whatever you want to put on this thing. We are going to come over here. We're going to check, make sure we have our cannonballs equipped. Looks like we got plenty of stuff. Was out running a few little raids, and I decided, I probably should make another video for the snow with this new equipment that's been released, because there's a lot of players still using the snow, and it's a great ship. It really is. So a lot of people prefer to use it as a bombard. Other people say the Patagon is better as the bombard. If you're using anything with blaze effect, your best ship's going to be the Sambuck. You're not going to beat the damage output using blaze. Now if you prefer flooding damage and stuff, then yeah, you need to look at some of these other ships and stuff, but we're talking tanks, so let us go see what we can tank out on. Seems like I am at the bottom of the Red Isles here, if I remember where I was at last location. So there are some ships out here, so we'll just come out and see what we can do. We'll come out and say hello. This would appear to be this is a mission, it looks like. Legendary heist. Hey, let's join it. We may as well, right? I don't know if we got enough time on it, but we're going to join it. But you can always use free territory, and this will be a good test of it because you have to fight these ships, and then you have to deal with those advanced rogues that come out with the flame weapons and stuff. So this is going to be a great test for this ship on this tank. I don't think we were in range there, but we're going to send it anyway. We still might hit some. Yeah, we tagged a few. Like to let them know we're coming up on them, you know. So again, we braced, didn't really need to. I think we managed to dodge most of it. Make sure we keep that stamina up. Now we can, if he decides to slow down, we can actually come in and start trimming back a little bit on that speed, make that stamina last longer. But typically we carry enough food where we don't have to do that. Kind of knock some of that stuff off us here. So another great option if you're using tanks, if you're getting up in there, is the scrapper station. It's going to do 8,000 health damage. So if you find that bracing is just a little too annoying for you, every time you do a crew attack, you would technically restore 8,000. So we don't have that. We do have the water tank equipped right at the moment. So of course, we got cannon fire coming in, ships coming into way, doing some bracing, and we come out of it unscathed and got a little healing. So, again, the armor is working fine. So I don't understand what the confusion is, but I wanted to show it on another ship, and we can do one with the Black Prince as well if we need to. You can always brace. I mean, watch how slowly the brace actually drains the stamina. It's really slow, man. That buys you time between your loads, and you can trim back if you need to whatever you need. Do your shooting. We'll brace. So, I mean, this is a great tank build. I mean, you're seeing it with your eyes. So, I mean, that's one of the things I want to show you what the build to do. Anybody can hop into a comment section, talk about how great a build is, guys. But I hope that this is going to help you. If you're wondering where to get that water tank and all that kind of stuff, you want to find that in the black market. You can potentially get it from some drops, what I've heard reported. I've not had such luck, but you can pick it up. It seems like it was 1,800 pieces of 8, if I recall right, where the rigging station is going to cost you sovereigns, if I'm correct on that or not. I'll have to double check the black market. So it definitely seems to me like it takes a little longer to take some of these ships out. So obviously pick what you want. These are my favorite, using the blast to fire. Alright, now comes the fun of getting back to St. Anne. So that's usually nothing, that part of the mission. This is the part where if you are in a snow, you typically will struggle a little bit. And I think we've figured this out. This does such great negation against fire, I don't think we're going to have to be too concerned with it, but we'll find out here. So they are in sandbucks. Now, technically, they might... I think it moves faster than the snow, even though it gives the same speed status between the two. But typically, a well-placed mortar will back them guys off anyway. And then it's the ones that are going to spawn up. Typically, they spawn out to the left of your ship, is what I usually experience. But so there you go, guys. That is the Cryptic Gaming build to building a tank. One of my favorite builds to use. It works great on any ship. It's going to give it a little more health. if you can negate how much stamina is being depleted, you're going to add more time to that brace between shots, and you can brace as much as you want in there, guys. That's the great thing about it. Now there's stuff in there that's going to discrease or decrease the amount of stamina that's being consumed when you're in brace, and those are great options as well. But with that water tank, you're getting that quick restoration on that stamina as well, in case you can't let off of your trigger to re-hit that food button for just a second. It's going to build up pretty quick. So now comes the long journey of the way back up into St. Ann Port, guys. But I hope that was a pretty good little demonstration for you. Now, I know that people could solo that. What I'm trying to show you is what it was doing on that hole. So if you missed it, go back and check. It does good. I mean, I've really enjoyed it. I would love to have anybody with a build like this fighting to help capture some of these forts, because the problem is we end up with a lot of the brigs to come over, and they're using all, your Skurlock 9s, and they're using harpoons and stuff, but really what they need to be using is the Mons Meg 3, but I can understand why you don't. But that's how you're going to effectively take a fort. So there's quite a few of our guys in Discord that are now starting to build that, and we had played around with a build on that for the Sandbuck before. Understand you're not getting any of those really cool buffs and stuff like that from using the Sandbuck with the Mons Meg, because it doesn't really give a blaze effect or an explosion for that matter, so it's kind of disappointing on that. But the Mons Meg, I'm thinking on this snow, it would be pretty nice, because you can be close enough bracing in when they start to launch those mortars in on you. Now, how much damage does it do against? Nowhere near as much as you would think, because you're actually going to survive those initial salvos, which is where it's the worst, is those first two strikes from their mortars over on those forts. You survive those and you've got it. Then you could add your healing ship into your fleet with a tank build, doing basic heals off of its status effect, or you could have him sitting just a little further out shooting mortars toward those tanks. But these tanks are what you're going to need to take those walls on. The Brigantines, they move fast and all, but unless you're using a Mons Meg 3 on that, you're just kind of shooting spitwads at it, I mean, honestly. But I hope you have enjoyed this video. As you can see, we completed it just fine. Y'all have a wonderful day.